have known and unashamedly loved Jesus for 26 years, and you grow and know him more and more every day, and as you learn more about yourself, you learn more about how you relate to him, and you learn more how you relate to people of faith and things of faith and those kinds of things. But today I'm just going to talk to you about the last 8 months, so just the last 8 months of this journey. And I have been aware of Grapplers for Christ for years, like a very long time. I was part of a church in Geelong where I was pastoring there, and I had a lot to do with Woon and Amy Uwe. So some of you will know Woon. He's a purple belt who's around here quite a bit. And Woon used to lead a young adults small group that I was a part of. So I met Woon when I was 15. And ever since then, Woon would very quietly just suggest every time we got together, hey, you should think about doing something in the martial arts. Hey, you should think about doing some jiu-jitsu. And when jiu-jitsu took off in Geelong, it wasn't just every now and then, it was every time I saw Woon, I was just going to time him and wait for it to come up, You know how some people talk about certain things all the time, yeah? Well, Woon's was definitely, hey, when are you going to try jiu-jitsu? And for a good number of years, I said to Woon, mate, you know me, you know that this is just not the sport for me. I like swimming, I like archery, I like 10-pin bowling, I like things that I can do without anyone else. I like things I can do from a distance. I like to play cards that I can hold in front of my face. I'm not athletic, I'm not outgoing. I don't like dancing, it's just too close. Just get off, And not only that, come on Woon, I'm a conflict avoider. I am a reliable conflict avoider. I'm not aggressive. I get intimidated easily by people who are aggressive. This is not the sport for me. And being the gracious guy that he is, he would just politely say, oh, well, think about it. I really think it'd be great for you, think about it. And every time I just, thinking that I was completely justified, told him why I didn't need it and why it wasn't going to be good for me and why it was probably not the best use of my time, considering I can be quite a busy person. And this went on for years, and I thought nothing of it. I just thought, here's a man who's really, really passionate about his sport. And again, if you know Woon, just wants everyone to be involved in what is good in the world. So I kind of just left it and didn't think much of it. And then about 8 months ago, I was in a situation where, some jiu-jitsu would have come in really handy that night. Just one little hip escape or one little stiff arm or any other kind of move that they teach you here would have been really helpful. But to my disappointment and to my struggle, that night I did nothing to help myself. I didn't call out, I didn't resist, I didn't hit back, I just let what was happening happen, and I'm still working through it now. So the next day after that thing, the first person I called, without calling my dad or my brother or my employer or anyone else, was I called Woon. And I said to Woon something I never thought I would say. I said, Woon, give me the number for the guy at Renegade. Give me the number for Jamie. I'll call him. I think it's time for me to say yes to the thing you've been asking me to do for years now. Give me the number. And so Woon was wonderful, and he had the conversation of, are you alright, and do you need me, and all of that. But somewhere within 24 hours, I had decided that that thing was never going to happen again. And the reason why it wasn't going to happen again was not because someone else was going to take care of me or protect me or step in. It was because I was going to be able to speak for myself. I was going to have to be able to do this on my own. And he did. He gave me the number, and Jamie called, and the next Wednesday I walked through that door and I stood on the edge of that mat, and I looked at this room full of people who were just trying to squash each other, and I thought, oh, you have made a big mistake, girl. You did so well. You held out for so many years. You told me no deal, and what the heck are you doing here? Why did you cave? These people are going to kill you. And this is like real fear, real fear. And because I'm a conflict avoider, very rarely am I in a position where I actually have to feel fear. So standing there in like black trackies and grey t-shirt with like a massive hair that I never thought was a problem until I started doing jiu-jitsu, Jamie said, come in and we'll get you started, and the Godfather was there and he was going to teach me some things, and I just stood there like this thinking, oh man, like how are you going to get out of this? How are you going to walk away from this? This is not good. And I said, I'm a little bit nervous. And Jamie's like, no need to be nervous, don't worry. We'll put you in a shirt and we'll get you going. And inside I'm like, no, you're not hearing me. I can't do this. This is just not cool. I had watched grappling before, and my responses to grappling before was, they just look like it's a really long hug, They just look like they're just trying to hold on to each other for as long as they can. And I watched a lot of young Christian people grapple, and I just thought, you guys are just making out without, you're allowed to in this environment. You're just getting away with a whole bunch of stuff over there that you'd never get away with in church. That's really interesting. And I was super like, just stay away, I'm not going to do this, this is not for me. I was involved enough that I would come to Geelong, and I would because I was working in the same building, so I would turn the heater on and I would help Benno put down the foam blue mats and nail the puzzle pieces in. But I'd walk away because it just wasn't for me. So this thing happened, and I decided I needed to do something about it. And I came to a Wednesday, and I was so afraid all night that Wednesday that I think I was just like jelly the whole night. And it wasn't so much that I had contacted the thing that had happened the previous week. At that stage it was just, this person is trying to do something to me that's never been done before, and I don't really know what to do yet. I decided that if I was going to stick this out and the change was going to happen, I would have to come back to this mat as soon as I could. So at 6 o'clock the next morning, I walked through the door again. And I met the 6 a.m. team, and I kind of belong to the 6 a.m. classes in this club, and they're a great group of guys. Definitely come and play with us. And this kind of was a repeated trend, and I started to try. And I've been here, and I'm not succeeding, but I'm not failing either. I'm trying. And I'm trying really hard. So I started these lessons on a Friday. Jamie and Harrison were my first people, and it was laughable, like super laughable, and they did so well not to laugh. The first time Harrison came towards me, I backed away so much that I just ended up on the carpet. And the poor boy had to come on, come back to the mat, come back to the mat. The first time Andrew in the 6 a.m. we started over there, and once I had a hip escape and like a butt scoot down, he just had to chase me all over the mat all morning. And looking at it now, it was comical. Like, it was funny, I really didn't want to engage. And I still really struggle to just get grips and hold on. I just want to run away all the time. So I figure there are 3 kinds of practitioners in our sport. I figure that the first kind is the guy or the girl who knows what they want, and they know where they want you to end up, and they're going to get there as fast as possible, whether you let them or not. They're going to move themselves, or they're going to move you, and they're going to get their submission, and there's no buts about it. The second person I have a lot more admiration for, because they play a defensive game and they just react to the other person's movements until they catch them in a transition, and then you realize it was their game the whole time. Yeah? And then there's the third kind of people, and they're like me, and we just want to run out the clock so that we don't have to hurt anybody or get hurt. We just want to run out the clock so that we don't have to be submitted or submit. And that's kind of where I'm at 8 months later. I'm a wimpy white belt. I'm great practice for any of you who are out there. But I'm really learning step by step, bit by bit. And I'm making small progress. But the more I do this, the more I realize how much Jiu-Jitsu and faith have in common. And the first thing is that Woon offered me Jiu-Jitsu for years, every time I saw him, again and again and again and again. And I think we all agree that it's just good for us, It's just good for us. That's why we stick around. It's good for our health, it's good for our minds, it's good for our community, it's good for our fitness. It's just good for us to do this, even if we're crap at it. It's good for me to do. And he knew that, and he offered it to me time and time again. And I said no. But the moment I said yes, it wasn't just him who flooded in to help me. You all stepped up. You have all been so patient with me. You were patient with me, You were patient with me. You have been patient with me. You have been patient with me. I'm really thankful for you. You have been patient with me. Everybody came to my aid. And I really think it's the same with Jesus. For those of us who have been in faith for a while, we forget that you can offer Christ to someone time and time and time again, and they can do what I did. It's not for me. And they can justify it. You can justify it really well why you don't need Jesus. where you don't need church, where you don't need a community of faith. It's not for me. I don't believe in it. I have other things going on. It's not my priority. But the truth is, faith is a good thing. Jesus is a good man. Belief in something bigger than yourself that carries a group of people like this, it's good for us. And eventually there'll come a day where you'll need it. Where you'll need someone bigger than you, stronger than you, who can love better than you can, who can forgive more than you can forgive, who can encourage you more than you can find your own courage for. And his name is Jesus. Someone who can be gracious to you more than you can be gracious to yourself. Someone who can pull you out of stuff that you don't even know how you got into. Someone who can cover off on your edges and say, that's okay, that's not going to get you in the end. There's a life beyond that circumstance. And his name is Jesus. And so we keep giving what we know is good, even when people say no. And for those people who are the ones saying no, we're just going to keep giving you Jesus every chance we get. We're just going to keep telling you that we love the Lord. And that's okay. And it might take years, like it took for me. It might take years of someone saying no before they say yes. But when they do, gee, the community of God mobilizes. Gee, the grace of God spills in. Gee, people are carried. And we have to be patient with those people. They're wimpy white belts too. Wimpy white belts are people as well, you know. We have to be patient with them. We have to love on them. We've got to find a way to help them see that this is not the end, that there is a bigger world out there than how they understand themselves, that when Jesus understands who they are, there's a whole nother way of living with others, a way of freedom, and a way of hope that things will actually get better, that, you know, the next time I sit here and look at you and talk to you, I won't have this tremor in my voice. The next time we roll, maybe I'll actually get out from your side control. Maybe, just maybe, I'll get out. You know, the next time somebody comes at me, perhaps I won't take a step back. Perhaps I'll just stand still. Perhaps in a couple of years, I might even take a step forward. Who knows? Who knows? And if Jiu-Jitsu is like faith, then doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, that's not madness. That's not insanity. That's just growth. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not madness. That's the way of growth. That's the way of faith. Anyone who's ever nailed the wall drill, or anyone who's ever nailed a takedown, anyone who's ever done anything that at the moment a bunch of us just can't even do, that's growth. Faith is the same. Praying every day, praying when you haven't prayed for months, starting again, giving church another go, standing up to sing just one more time, just one more prayer, just one more reading of the Bible, just one more scripture. It's not madness. That's the way of growth. That's the way of faith. That's what we do. Faith is living out what you believe. And I watch you grapplers do this all the time. You put your hand there, you put your hip there, and you believe that the other person will move, or that you will find a dominant position, and you do, because you live out what you know to be true. People who love God, people who love Grapplers for Christ, we're the same. We're just living out what we know to be true. And we call that faith. We call that faith. And it doesn't mean that it's not incredibly awkward. You know, it really didn't take long for all of you to see that I was dealing with something that wasn't just needing a sport. It didn't take long. You know, I think the first time was in a morning class with a guy called Adam, and Adam is all legs. Like, body triangle with Adam is really painful. Adam, sorry Adam, if you're watching, I didn't tell you I was going to say this. Adam caught me one time, and it was the first time I'd had this reaction. Everything got dark, and it was very fast, and then he had me, and I forgot to tap, because I didn't know what was happening. And something that was sitting here, all my pain and all my anxiety and all of my fear, moved from here to here, and then it spilled out my eyes. And I couldn't calm down. You know, I had what I'm calling a reaction. And poor Adam was very quick to pat me down and did I break anything and are you okay? And I was there trying to say to him, it's not you, it's me, I'm just gonna have to cry this out. And I think, you know, there was a Wednesday night where Brian and Mick had to literally nurse me through one of these. And I've had about 8 of them, about one every 4 weeks. But that's just me learning. That's just me growing. And your relationship with Jesus is exactly the same. Some days it's on and it's great. And you're like, I put my hand here, I put my leg here and he's going over. Some days it's not. Sometimes it's just face down and a hard grind. But you come back after that. When you have a hiccup in faith, you don't stop and give up. Yeah, maybe you sit out for a little while. Maybe you don't come back and roll every time. But you definitely walk through the door again and say, I'm here. You know, with God, every time, I'm here. In fact, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm coming back. I'm trying again. I'm going to make sense of this. I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to seek that answer. I'm going to hold on. And you'll find that God is a player who gets grips and doesn't let go. God is a God who gets grips, and you can put him in any position you like, but he won't let go. And God is a God that even when you tap out to, he will hold on to you. God is a God that even when you don't want to engage him, he will chase you all over the mat until you let him engage you. He will wait. He will wait patiently on the mat the way people wait patiently for me just to step on and give it a go. He will wait patiently for you in the morning when you walk in tired and he knows you can't do what you're here to do. That's okay with God. God can handle that. God just wants you to know that he's here too. He's here too. Every time. He's here too. The Bible talks to us a lot about this. And I'm not going to quote scripture at you verbatim because I'm going to be here a few more times and then I'm really going to get going. But right now I'm just going to tell you that if you've heard nothing else about Jesus, his choices were always so that you would know that he's with you. Always. In the same way that we make choices about our training, what we'll eat and what we'll wear and how often we'll train and how hard we'll run and how hard we'll roll and who will tell if we're coming to training and who we won't tell if we're skipping a session. All of God's choices revolve around you knowing that he's with you, that he's here with you, that he will be with you step for step, roll for roll, move for move, attempt for attempt, stripe for stripe, belt for belt. God will be with you. God will be with you. And so he just asks that you keep turning up to him in any way you can, in any sense of certainty that you can, that you keep turning up. And that despite the awkwardness of faith, and despite the disheartening of faith, when you're always the nail and you always lose every round, despite the challenge of feeling like you're held down and you can't get up, despite these things, that God will be there with you. On the very worst day of your lives, of my life, on the very worst day, when things happen to us that should never have happened, God will still be there. God will be there on that day. And that makes even that day feel not so scary and not so bad, knowing that he and I, he and you will be there together. And you can tell yourself that every day, especially if you're like me and when you walk in the door you think, you know, by the grace of God am I going to survive this today? But for you the door is not the gym door. Or maybe it is. There could be 100 other doors, 1,000 other doors, 1,000 other people, 1,000 other moves. Whatever it is that intimidates you, it makes you feel small and makes you wonder if you're ever going to get out of it. Whatever it is, walk through the door. Keep coming back. Know that Jesus is on the other side and that he loves you. So my kind of life at Jiu-Jitsu has been kind of intense, but I have really interesting moments as well, just so that we can finish on a lighter note. You know, I'm a teacher and I remember the first time in a 6 a.m. class I got into a north-south drill, and I remember the next morning, like just a few hours later, I was going to teach sexual morality to a group of young people. And I got up in front of the class and I was like, if you knew the position I was in this morning with a man that I have no idea what his name was, you would not listen to a single thing I have to say after this. I know that, you know, when you come to 6 a.m, as soon as you walk out the door, you know nothing is going to happen today that is as bad as what has already happened in the last hour. No one, like Ruben, is going to go and like choke you out. No one is going to slam you and pin you. Jiu-Jitsu really helps us get perspective, eh? Perspective on life, perspective on ourselves, perspective on how much we have to learn and how much we have to go, and how unique we are in that in order for the other person to succeed, they need a partner. In order for you to execute any move perfectly, you need to practice on somebody. These just not going to cut it, you know? You need a partner. And that's why we call faith sometimes grappling with God, because he's the partner. He's the one we train with. He's the one we practice with. I listen to a lot of people in my college, and they talk to me about, I'm really grappling with this, and they're not jiu-jitsu players. And I'm like, yeah, are you really grappling with that, or are you just kind of having a hard time? We know what grappling means. We know what this feels like. God does too. He really does. He really does. So I hope to see all of you a lot more. And I hope that the next time we roll, you know that you're rolling with something that isn't going to beat me and then isn't going to beat you. That you're actually working with me to help me through something here. That you're coaching me to get me through something. That you're holding me when I can't hold it together to get me through something. We're a team. So is the family of God. So are all people who call themselves Christians. That's a good thing. And that's pretty much all I have to say for today.